Hello people, humans. I'm not really good at making intros, specifically for this video, so we're just gonna get into the Bendy Hot Takes video. This is also a part 2, not that it matters, you can watch them in any order you please, but there is another Bendy Hot Takes video that I'll link down in the description. Great, let's get into the actual content. These first 3 hot takes are from Fetch Productions, and it's in the form of a short, so we're gonna watch that real quick.
Bendy and the Ink Machine. Hot takes. Allison sucks. I hate Allison. She looks like a fucking fishbowl. She doesn't shut the fuck up. I hate Allison. She's so annoying. Girl wants to tell me to be quiet, but then walk around with her tools rattling around everywhere she walks.
You know, as loud as Allison is in the damn game, it's a surprise that she's made it this far. Like, how is the Ink Demon not eaten her face off yet? Because she's so obnoxious. In fact, you know what? I hope the Ink Demon eats her. I wish ill upon you, Allison.
Sammy is the most overrated character of all time. How is this actual loser the fan favorite? Alright, he's weak overall. He's a coward. Alright, and he's just a wannabe prophet. That's his only personality trait, is that he worships Bendy, and Bendy fucking kills him every single time. This guy's an idiot. Sammy sucks. The only reason he's popular and the fan favorite is because he has abs.
You know, it's crazy how little Sammy shows up in the game and how popular he is. It's kind of crazy. And yeah, I agree with all this. I think I've talked about Sammy before, but yeah. All these things are true. Also, this is his design from the graphic novel Dreams Come to Life, so, to the simps out there, here's your man.
Boris isn't cute. I said it and I mean it. I don't understand how this is supposed to be cute. He's just kind of annoying.
How you gonna say that about my boy Boris? He's adorable. He's my precious boy. He deserved better. Anyway, I have to admit, though, he is kind of annoying when he'll... Okay, so if Boris senses the slightest speck of danger, he'll take the entire elevator just down to the lowest floor. But in the end, I'll forgive him for it because he's my precious boy. I think we can all agree Bendy and the Ink Machine was not the best game in the world, and I think if Boris could emote a little bit better, he would be cuter. Now, to completely contradict people from Reddit. Actually, before we do that, I have 2 that I got from YouTube comment section. Bendy became corrupt and half of him started to glitch, and it also looks like he's melting, if that makes any sense, / he basically looks like the ink monster but scarier. I beg your finest pardon? That was not a sentence, and I can't even comment on this, because I don't even know what he was talking about. I have preludes to what he might have been talking about, but... moving on. I'm sorry. It's just, that's not a sentence, I hate to say. There was no period, so you know it's not a sentence. Bendy has a head that looks like a half-bitten Reese's cup. Yes, he does. I think... my family ate all of our Halloween Reese's peanut butter cups, but I wish I could, get one of my Reese's cups, bite into it, and then, take a toothpick and draw a little Bendy face on it, you know? But I don't have any peanut butter cups in my house right now, so I had to go on the interwebs and find one myself and draw over it. It's not the same. Okay, so now we're gonna finally swing over to Reddit. Bendy Nightmare Run was a pretty fun, and they should bring it back. The Butcher Gang should have been used more in Dark Revival, make them a common enemy. And Chapter 3 isn't even that bad. Why does everybody always complain about it? Okay, so first of all, I haven't actually ever played Bendy Nightmare Run, so I don't know how good it is, but surprisingly enough, my dad did play it a little bit, so I do hope they bring it back, honestly, because I would like to at least look into it. I think the problem with the Butcher Gang members was not that they weren't in there enough, but that they weren't used in the correct way. Because, they're in there quite a bit. You got the ghost-looking one named Carly, I think, and she'll just randomly show up out of the darkness and scream at you. You know, she was in there a lot. I don't know if that was the best use of her, but, you know, she was in there. And then the other 3 would pop up in their own ways. Fisher would hide inside of the lockers, and if you tried to go in there, he would, I don't know, be spooky. Striker hid in the ceilings, and if you walked under his little hole, he would spring out and try and eat you. And then the monkey-looking one would show up whenever you had to respawn. He would hide inside the respawn points. So yeah, I think they could definitely have been used in some other way. I don't know what kind of way that would be, but definitely literally anything else, because I don't like them that much. They're spookier now. Especially the Fisher. Fisher just looks wrong, you know? And Chapter 3 of Bendy the Ink Machine was the best chapter overall. For me, it's tied with Chapter 4, because I liked the carnival theme. But overall, Chapter 3 was the best. It had the most ink demon in it, and Boris was there when, he chose to be. So yeah, best chapter. I see that the next guy, he wrote the intro paragraph to his 7-paragraph final essay. Good for him. Bendy as a whole is a big waste of potential. I always keep saying it's my favorite game of all time, but I know that it's just a mid-walking sim with no future, and I'm just coping to death. I want you to think of this. The whole concept of Bendy was cartoons coming to life, right? Yeah. Now look at Dark Revival, Silent City, and Lone Wolf. Can you see anything that fits that description? Quick sidebar. For anyone who doesn't know, Silent City is a new Bendy game that's coming out. It's in black and white, and the only thing I can say about it is it's a game. I can't even say that because it's not out. It's going to be a game. I don't know much about it, and honestly, neither does anybody else. All we got is 2 teasers for it. They're all just an attempt to make BioShock on their own. Infinite Cycles, Magic Ink powers, Pocket Dimension. Are you kidding me? Am I the only one who sees the wrong thing here? All of those things are just Hollywood clinches wrapped together into one mid-tier game. Joey Drew Studios, please, you have the potential to make a good game, and you just proved it with the first game, at least the first half of it. I'm expecting a Bendy game here, not a BioShock, but without the guns and a yellow filter. So when I was getting the Silent City pictures, I stumbled upon a quote-unquote leaked trailer gameplay video of this game, and I'm just going to show you the first 5 seconds because it honestly kind of proves this guy's point. What the hell are these gameplay features? Bro just straight up pulled a bomb out of a picture. Can I be the second to say that this is not giving me the Bendy vibe? I don't know what vibe it's giving me. It's giving me 1930s Prohibition era gangsta vibes. At the beginning, when I was reading through his comment, I was thinking, it's just not that bad, they just went a different direction, but I'm definitely seeing the direction they're going with Silent Hill. I'm just going to call it Silent Hill from now on. So Bendy Silent Hill is definitely a direction, story-wise, that they took, and I can't say that I hate it enough to not go buy the game whenever that comes out in 7 years. But I can't say that these newer games are definitely missing that original Bendy oomph that the Bendy and the Ink Machine had. You can't fix Alice. Don't say you can, because you can't. I didn't realize that, this was a hot take, because this is what I've been saying for a while. She's absolutely insane. That's why she's my favorite character. If you don't know, all the characters in this game are my favorite characters, so for me to say Alice Angel is my favorite character is like saying I like to breathe. But let's, back and track. Maybe you're not convinced. Maybe you still think you can fix Alice. Let's go through all the things she's done. Number 1, she has gutted a bunch of Boris and Butcher Gang members, stolen their hearts, and has, I assumed, eaten them. This is in an attempt to make her face look better. She's got to control her acne with the blood of the dead. She also sends us off into the most dangerous situations to do her chores and get her groceries, basically. So yeah, she just enjoys watching us suffer, which I honestly would probably enjoy watching me suffer too, if I looked like her. She's gotta, find joy where she can. She also throws us down an elevator shaft to try and capture the perfect Boris, aka my buddy Boris, and then once she gets her grubby hands on him, she disfigures and dismembers him. No, she just disfigures him. Sorry, dismember. I don't know, I think she did dismember him. It looks like she took his head and put him on a different body, but I'm not sure, because I don't know what kind of weird science she's doing. Anyway, she disfigures my precious Boris boy, and I am then forced to kill him. Now, if you're still convinced that, she can be redeemed, let's move on to Dark Revival, because she cranks up the crazy to an 11. So basically what happens is she drugs and kidnaps us, and yes, I know that I don't even know what we were drinking. I think it's, supposed to be an herbal tea. I know that it was, a sleeping time herbal tea, but I'm pretty sure those aren't supposed to knock you out immediately, so she definitely drugged us. The only thing that's ever knocked me out that quick is anesthesia. I got my wisdom teeth removed, but we don't need to talk about that. No, we're talking about Alice Angel and her craziness. So after drugging and kidnapping us, she takes us to the deepest, darkest parts of Wilson's basement, basically. Not really, but I like to pretend we're in his basement. So, as well as abducting us, she's also abducted, 6 other people and taken them down to the basement, and we're all gonna play a game. It's a perfectly normal game, trust me. Before we play this game, though, Alice is going to threaten to dismember and disembowel us, because, that's her thing. I believe her exact words is she wanted to gut us and have all our organs tossed onto her table, I think is what she said.
And to put it bluntly, what I want is your face removed, your skin peeled away like paper, and your insides torn out and tossed onto my table. Custom parts, ready for my delicious harvest.
Yeah, that's feeling right. Anyway, so we're gonna play the game now. Basically, we gotta guess the FNAF reference. It's pretty simple, except I got cocky and I might have gotten the code wrong. Anyway, so if you get it wrong, you get electrocuted in this lovely chair. Yeah, I've heard electrocution is one of those painful ways to die, so Yeah! Anyway, so if you get the code right, she electrocutes all the other guests, and then she runs off with her Tommy gun to have a mental breakdown, which, honestly, she's always having a mental breakdown. It's, just more so. Also, she talks to herself, but, in a weird way, and I'm gonna show some clips of it. She's got, 2 different voices. She's got her normal voice and then a higher-pitched voice, and it's like there's 2 sentients in her mind. Does that make sense? It's like that meme. It's like, there's 2 wolves living inside you.
Ooh, how about a game? Let's all play a game of riddles.
Riddles? What a wonderful idea!
Look around. It took so many of them to make me so beautiful. Anything less than perfect was left behind. I had to do it. She made me.
It could have pulled me back!
Do you know what it's like? Living in the dark puddles?
It's a buzzing, screaming well of voices.
Bits of your mind swimming like fish in a bowl.
I'm getting into conspiracy territory here, but during her speech in Chapter 3, whenever her voice pitched higher, she would kind of crouch a little bit. So, back to my theory that she's got 2 consciousnesses inside her brain. There's Alice Angel, the cartoon Alice Angel, and then there's Susie Campbell. And that would make more sense if you've read the book and you know the deep lore of Bendy and Link Machine. But, yeah, basically the cartoons will slowly take over your brain. And clearly this Alice Angel that's taking over her brain is insane. So good luck with her. You're gonna get disemboweled. I've also heard that that's a terrible way to go. My Bendy hot take is that I like Ink Demon's design in Dark Revival better than the Ink Machine one. Despite the Bendy and Ink Machine being more nostalgic, Bendy the Dark Revival has more better execution. That Ink Demon is a demon, lol. Well, that's per my opinion. I wish to stay anonymous, lol. Look, I want to make fun of this guy in particularly, and I feel less bad about it because he's anonymous, but what does putting lol at the end of every single one of your sentences actually do? What are you laughing at? So, purely based off of looks alone, I think Dark Revival Bendy was definitely more better. However, in execution and in gameplay, the one from Ink Machine was more better overall. I also really like how Bendy's mute. I think that's really creepy. Characters that don't talk are pretty spooky. Well, it depends on the execution. If they use their body language, that's different, but like just characters that don't talk and they're either wearing a mask or they have the same expression on their face all the time, it's spooky. Also, Bendy's smile is uncanny. Somebody else said something similar, but Chapter 3 of the first game is one of the best. I used to hate it and still dislike the fetch quest, but the random ink demon appearances should have been how Dark Revival played. Imagine if instead of the ink demon is approaching, you just saw the inky blackness and heard the loud thumps of the ink demon rapidly sprinting through the area you're in. Okay, I think I touched on this before, like this exact point, but yes, the ink demon encounters in Dark Revival just suck. It'd be different if they had the ink demons coming, show up like the first few times, so you know you got the general idea, but it just plays every single time he appears. I'm gonna be given one of my hot takes, but I don't see what people's problem with the fetch quests are. If you have that much of a problem with it, please put down in the comments something better that you could have used as a mechanic during Chapter 3. Because I genuinely cannot think of any better way for it to play out. I'm also probably not thinking outside the box enough, but this is even the worst example of a fetch quest. If this was a true, pure fetch quest, Alice Angel would want you to bring her a heart, so you find a lost one with a heart. But he wants a gear to fix his machine. So you find a Butcher Gang member that has a gear, but he wants a bacon soup can. So you find one of those vending machines with the bacon soup in it, but it's broken, so you gotta find a way to fix the bacon soup machine. That would be a true fetch quest. But honestly, this is even that bad, and I would like to hear an example of anything better to put here. I miss the chapter system from the first game. Dark Revival likes to pretend it has chapters, which it doesn't. But they do flash on screen real quick, but yeah, it's definitely not a chapter game, especially because you can actually go back to the very beginning if you so choose to. Basically, you use the power of teleportation to get back to the beginning, and for people who don't know, you can go into the linker pipe's inkwell, I don't know, you push Y when you hover over the linker pipe to interact with it, and then you teleport around the studio, basically. The books were really good, and throwing them out was a mistake. They added so much characterization that was sorely lacking. Joey is an awful person, but some people talk about him like he was walking around personally kicking puppies. Yeah, like, he's a super hateable character, but can people at least hate him for the shit he actually did? There's plenty of bad things without having to make stuff up. And the lore isn't that complicated. People make it overcomplicated by refusing to let go of their hand cannons and trying to force it in when the actual game provides simple explanations. Yeah, I like the books too. I'm kind of sad they're not canon. I hope at least Dreams Come to Life is canon, because it feels like it can be canon without confusing the entire lore. If Fade to Black was canon, oh boy. Fade to Black would just screw so many things up. Like, mostly it would screw up when the cycle started and whether or not Henry is a clone or is the actual Henry. Lost Ones can fade out of existence because that book sucked. Also, after playing Bendy in the Dark Revival and seeing basically Joey's clone, there's some spooky remarks that Joey makes in The Illusion of Living. Okay, so I got clarification on what this person meant about people making up stuff about Joey. People say that Joey murdered / threw away failed Audrey attempts when the one thing we know about them is he was telling them stories and seems to be taking care of them. This is a massive pet peeve of mine. I think that people are not intentionally making this up. More probably they didn't see the after credit scene from Bendy the Ink Machine. Though, I will say, I assume Joey took care of them until he had the opportunity to throw them into the ink cycle, you know? That's what he does with all his problems. He just throws them into the ink cycle. That's probably what he does with his taxes. He just takes the sheets of paper and just throws them into the ink machine, calls it a day. He looks like he would evade his taxes. Honestly, there's a lot of things in the lore that are complicated that could probably warrant its own video. But basically, overall, I just want to say, you know how when people write stories, they focus more on world building and the rules of the world before they write a story? Yeah, Bendy did the exact opposite. They wrote a story without knowing how the lore was going to go, and now we have a FNAF situation where they have to retcon things to make it make sense, and then it makes less sense the more and more they retcon. Dark Revival is heavily overrated. I will give reasons if anyone asks for some. Number 2, Boris. The Boris we were chill with in Chapter 3 should have been the same one from Lone Wolf and should be Wally like everyone theorized. Bendy, Nightmare Run is very fun, and number 4, Chapter 3 is the best chapter of the first game. I messaged this person on Reddit to try and get some specific things that they thought made Dark Revival overrated, but they never got back to me. So I'm just going to say the main thing going for Dark Revival is that it is a lot better in visuals and general look compared to Bendy and the Ink Machine. And I think people hype it up way too much. It's honestly, like, as sequels go, it's a pretty good sequel, but it's not like all that people make it out to be. So I recommend you guys go watch the trailer for Lone Wolf, because after seeing it and seeing how Boris behaves in the trailer, I'm pretty sure they're going to make it out to be that Boris is going to be Tom, like the Tom that hangs out with Alice and Angel. And I'll bet you they're going to explain how he lost his arm. And honestly, I don't hate this, because generally, Tom is more badass than Boris. Boris, if he senses any danger, he will just leave you. Well, for the most part, at least in Chapter 3. But I like Tom a lot because he gets it done.
I'll need 3 gears, a crowbar, some kind of counterbalance. Huh. Well, that works too.
This person's third hot take was that Nightmare Run was fun, and I've already touched on that, so I'm not going to touch on it again. I hope they bring it back to the, not the item shop, to the App Store. And then they also said that Chapter 3 was the best chapter, and I already said I agree for many reasons. I've already talked about that. So now we're going to move on to my hot take, which is that whoever is on the team that makes the Bendy graphic novels, they need to check their artwork a few dozen more times. They made a pretty significant art error. And you know, I'm sure the way that I'm saying it, you're probably thinking it's not that significant, but trust me, it is. Before we get into that, here's some context. So this is Jacob. He's a pretty insignificant character in Dreams Come to Life. He appears very little in the novelization. In the novel. What are we novelizing? Anyway, in the novel, and even less in the graphic novel. But, you know, he exists, and he's darker skinned, which, you know, good for him, because racism in the 1940s was in existence. Speaking of racism, this is also supposed to be Jacob. Like, how do you screw up that bad, my man? My mans? And women's? I don't know who worked on this God-forsaken comic, but goddamn. I'm sure somebody got fired, maybe. I don't know. I've seen and heard nobody talk about this, and it's so noticeable. So noticeable, in fact. I noticed it the instant it happened. I had to check, because I felt like I was losing my mind, but nope. He just, turned white, I think? And if you're wondering, obviously the original novel did not mention any of this shit, so this is all on whoever made the graphic novel, okay? This is all on them. And the luck of the claws wants to be telling me that the lore isn't that complicated, and that I need to let go of my headcanons. Give me a lore explanation for why the ink is racist. Anyway, I was gonna let you marinate on this stuff, because this is rich. But unfortunately, I forgot a hot take, and to go back and edit it would cause the editing process to be longer than I would like it to. So I'm just going to shove it in right here, but that doesn't mean you can't marinate on whatever the hell this situation is. Okay, so the burning hot take is that Bendy would have been better if they used the concept art design from the portrait Bendy as shown here. So basically, they think that Bendy in the ink machine would have been better if they used this design. And I gotta say, why does Bendy look like he's doing the whippin' nay-nay? And also, no, you're wrong. I can't express how wrong you are. Though it would be funny, though, if the ink demon did the whippin' nay-nay. Let me see if that's on the internet. After probably 18 hours, 8 of which were spent sleeping, I realized I meant Whoopin' Gundam style.
Whoopin' Gangnam Style. Gangnam Style. Whoop, 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 whoop. Whoopin' Gangnam Style. Gangnam Style.